Stonewall penalty, Mr. Sutton.
Were you surprised by that decision?
I think even myself, I'm a little bit surprised it was given a.
It may be April Fools, but Chris Sutton and Chris Boyd and Fog Football all agree with each other that the Rangers penalty against Hibernian wasn't a penalty. Holy moly, 1st of April, no joke here. And it's actually mental to hear that, because Chris Boyd, he's the master of the soft boiled egg. And he himself says he was surprised to see it given. He talks about the fact that, yeah, he's jumped, yeah, he's put, the arm is there, but you have to use your arms to jump. I'm a bit surprised that they didn't actually go into the fact that about the Alistair Johnston incident and say, well, if they gave that, that's why it was given. Like, Chris Sutton didn't seem too bothered by this. Now, what you could argue is the penalty didn't really matter. I think the fact that they didn't retake it kind of cancels out the fact that it wasn't actually a penalty. But here, by the letter of the law, it is a penalty. But on this Monday morning, 1st of April, it's refreshing to see Chris Sutton and Chris Boyd agree with each other. This was before, though, the Kyogo incident where they would absolutely be at each other's throat over. But when it came to the retaking issue, that's when Chris Boyd and Chris Sutton disagreed, because Chris Boyd said it should have been retaken, even though Chris Sutton turned around and said, well, Scott Wright's the one that gets to it. But that's irrelevant if Scott Wright's the one that gets to it, because if there's like 5 players encroaching, right, the rule is if there's 2 players, at least 2 players for the opposition and the attacking team, it has to be taken. And obviously there was more than that. There was even more than that. But all you need is 1 player for each team. And Sutton's trying to argue, well, because Scott Wright got on the ball, then it wasn't, they shouldn't be retaken. I mean, the guy's clutching at straws there. No, I think it wasn't a penalty. No. A lot of people on this channel and on my channel, Rangers fans think it was a penalty. A lot of Celtic fans were crying corruption. A lot of Hibs fans said Nick Montgomery should have took his players off the pitch. I don't think it wasn't that much of a penalty to warrant those sort of things, but Jesus Christ, that is a bit pathetic. And by the letter of the law, it is actually a penalty, so is what it is. People are using the logic, well, if it was anywhere else in the pitch, it would be a free kick. And the funny thing is, how's that flipped for 2 months ago, where Celtic fans were saying the exact same thing about the Alistair Johnston penalty at Easter Road. Rangers fans were saying the opposite, saying, oh, it's definitely not a penalty, and now it's completely and utterly flipped between them. I mean, I'm consistent. When that Alistair Johnston incident happened, I said there's no chance that's a penalty, it's a head knock. And I actually think with this one, it is a bit different because the ball's not been played yet, but I don't think it's a penalty for me. You know, he's caught him with the arm, but anyway, let's hear what Chris Boyd and Chris Sutton had to slabber to each other with the retaking rules.
The ball falls to Scott Wright, though. Is that why they did? I mean, big Philip Clement said that was the correct decision after.
Better not. Better not. But,
Listen, he made up for it.
So as you heard yourself, Chris Sutton whipped out his Joker card here on April Fool's Day and said Philip Clement said it was the correct decision not to be retakens. And then Chris Boyd kind of backed down and he says, well, I'll have to agree with the big man there. So they've kind of both agreed on both instances, but I think Chris Boyd's joking. I think he genuinely thinks it should have been retaken, but you know, it's a wee bit of banter in there with big baldy Philip Clement, because yeah, Clement maybe might have only seen the first angle, because at the end of the day, right, Clement's probably been interviewed after the game, and the penalty's irrelevant. It is, because they've won 3-1, didn't affect the game, wasn't like it was for Hibs, it's not like they've won. If it was a crucial moment in the game and say Rangers drew 1 each and that penalty would have got Rangers a win by 2-1, then probably Clement would have turned around and maybe analysed the situation. And I'm not saying that he's not entitled to his own opinion, because I think it should have been retaken, so does Chris Boyd, but he's probably only looked at it once and seen that Scott Wright was in, because when they actually pause it, it looks like you can only see Scott Wright's boot, but then you can clearly see that there is more. So if you only look at it once, it can be forgiven to think that Scott Wright's the only guy encroaching in the box. But it's even the frame they've used, though, and that goes for all the players in the box, not just Rangers players. It's like the ball's already left Tav's foot. It's just it's a bit of a mess. And then I think there's also question marks over Davy Marshall, whether or not he's actually off his line. So anyway, it's not like it mattered. It's not like it mattered. Rangers went on and won the game 3-1. There'll be way worse penalty instances this season which would have mattered. Quite a few of them actually, involving a certain Alistair Johnston. But anyway, that's where we're going to leave this video. Happy April Fool's Day. Kris Sutton, Kris Boyd, Fog Football on the same page.